Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and we are going over the periodic table. Okay, this is part 2, and we're going to start by talking about the Altom Transport Company, which is located here in Illinois. It was established in 1948. It is a 3-generation company, and it transports mostly petroleum products and chemicals. So what does that have to do with aluminum, which happens to be element number 13? Well, the A and the L are the symbol for aluminum. The T and the M put together by Harry Lorraine's memory techniques represent the number 13. So from now on, when you think of the Altom Transport Company, you're going to think of aluminum, because you're going to imagine them taking one of those tanker trucks and stuffing it full of aluminum. There you go. Silicon, number 14. Okay. S is the symbol for silicon. The T and the R are the representation of the number 14, according to Harry Lorraine's memory techniques. So we're going to form the word sitter from all of that, and we're going to drop the second T. Okay, so we got sitter, and now we're going to imagine a babysitter with a purse full of silicon. Okay, so you're trying to rip off the babysitter, you pull a purse away from her, and you dump your hand in there and there's a bunch of silicon. Yeah, yuck. Okay. Now we're going to go on to number 15, which is phosphorus. Okay. Now, phosphorus is represented by the letter P. The T and the L represent the number 15. Okay. So, what can we form with the letters P, T, and L? We can form the word petal, as in petal of a flower. Now, just imagine the petal of a flower glowing with a phosphorus glow. Well, there you go. Now you have the way to remember its symbol and its number. Petal, phosphorus. Okay. Now, sulfur is the next one. It's represented by the letter S. Now, what about the T and the SH? Well, the T and the SH combined form the number 16. Check out Harry Lorraine's rules. You'll find out that I'm telling the truth on this. Okay, so what can we form with the S, the T, and the SH? We can form the word stash. And what are we doing with sulfur? We're stashing it away in our closet. Alright. Now, what about chlorine? Alright, well, we know chlorine is in bleach, so we have these great big bottles of chlorine bleach, and they're being carried around by Celtic people. Alright? Now, why Celtic people? Well, the C and the L represent the chlorine, the T and the C represent the number 17. If you don't believe me, check Harry Lorraine's rules on the number system. So, with the C and the L and the T and the C, we are able to spell out the word Celtic, and now we just imagine some Celtic person carrying around a big bottle of chlorine bleach, and now we have number 17. What about argon, number 18? Well, AR is the chemical symbol for argon. Now, how do we remember the T and the F? Well, okay. The T and the F combined make up the 18. Okay, so now we're going to imagine, now argon is a very tough substance, so we're going to imagine a virtually indestructible license plate, and we're going to attach a couple of argyle socks to the license plate, so we can remember the argon, and then we're going to put a vanity, it's going to be one of those vanity license plates, and it's going to say R, A-R-E, the letter U, okay, the vowel U, and we're going to have the word tough, T-U-F-F. So we have R-U tough engraved on this license plate with a couple of argyle socks to go along with it. There you got number 18. Alright, what about potassium? Well, potassium is calcium. Okay, the Latin word for potassium is calcium. Now, that is where the letter K comes in. Letter K represents potassium, but it's really for calcium. Now we're going to imagine that we have a potato. Now, potatoes are a vegetable that are full of potassium. If you have a bunch of potatoes, you eat them, you're going to be full of potassium. All right, we're going to take a potato, we're going to have a branding iron. This branding iron is going to be made red hot, and we're going to brand the letter K on the potato. And once we brand that letter K on the potato, we're going to toss it in the bathtub. Why tub? Because the T and the B combined represent the number 19. Okay? So, how are we going to remember that Kalium is the Latin word for potassium? Well, we're going to imagine that Kalium is really callus, and we're going to imagine that our potato is covered in calluses and this great big letter K, which we just branded it with a branding iron. There you go. Alright, calcium. Calcium normally comes in cartons or jugs, but this time it's going to come in cans. Why? Because the letter C represents calcium and the N and the S represent number 20, which happens to be the 20th element of the list. So if we take the C and the N and the S and we put them together, they form the word cans. Therefore, we're going to pour a whole bunch of milk in cans. And milk has tons of calcium. So there you go. Alright. Scandium. The S and the C in scandium represent its symbol. The N and the T represent the 21. Okay? And so we're going to take the S and the C and the N and the T, we're going to put them together, we're going to put a little letter E between the two, and we got the word scent. Now, how are we going to remember scandium, the name? Well, we'll just think of Scandinavia. Okay, so now we're going to think of a Scandinavian scent. So as you think of a Scandinavian scent, there you go, you've got scandium. What about titanium? Well, you have a letter T, which represents the titanium itself, and then we have two N's, representing the 22. Alright, so now you have T-I-double-N, 10. Okay, so we're going to imagine that titanium is as weak as 10. Yeah, titanium is not anywhere near as weak as 10, but that's what we're going to imagine. And therefore, we come up with 22. Vanadium. Vanadium is another mineral, and it's number 23 on our list. It's represented by the letter V, the N as in Nancy, and the M as in Marvin represent the 23, according to Harry Lorraine's rule. So we have a V, an N, and an M, and if we put them all together with a couple of vowels, we get the word venom. Alright, so we're going to imagine that there's a vanadium snake. And how do we remember that it's a vanadium snake? Well, because the snake is incredibly vain. Okay? He's a very vain snake. So this very vain vanadium snake is full of venom. Deadly venom. Okay. Chromium, number 24. It is represented by the letter CR. That's the symbol for chromium. And the N and the R represent the 24. So if we combine C, R, N, and R together, we form the word corner. Now, chromium used to be used to form battle armor for soldiers eons and eons ago. Okay, so we're going to imagine a corner covered in chromium battle armor. And that's how we're going to remember that. All right. I will tell you more in a future video, so stay tuned.